Dumelang Sanbonani. Hello, South Africa. A very warm welcome to Expressions. Today, we are speaking about gender-based violence as we observe 16 days of activism. This is the place for you to air your views on this very important issue. I am your host, Jacqueline Mapala.
And I'm your host, Mxolisi Wagamasango. Now, the ruling party has come under fire for reinstating its Mpumalanga MEC, who has been accused of raping his daughters. Now, this was all while declaring a war against gender-based violence. We spoke to several organizations as well as young people who take a bite on this very important topic. Have a look.
We're going to be speaking to young people here in Alexandra to find out how gender-based violence has affected them. And these are young people who are representing Ray of Hope as well as Save the Children SA. Let's go inside, let's meet them and find out what these young people have to say about this very important issue of gender-based violence. Come with me. I want to find out from you in terms of what's happening Modikolong. Do you feel that there is enough that is done in our schools to educate, especially the boys, on issues around gender-based violence and to make sure that boys are not perpetrators of gender-based violence?
I feel like it's unacceptable, and as boys, I feel like we should charity begins at home, and we should try to learn those basic rules of respecting women as our sisters and mothers. Imagine if I'm a boy and I see someone doing that to my mother, how would you feel? So I feel like every boy, particularly in township, because this is where this kind of things happen, we should have that perspective of what would you say if someone is doing that to your mother?
So some people abuse others because of their background from their homes, because other parents, like example for fathers, they can abuse their wives in front of their children. Ngoba obvious umuntu makahlala bona ubaba ekhahlala abuser umama lento le ihlala isekhana, so immediately makaqala thatha wakho umuntu uzobuyela yonke le memory leya gcine naye sekayenza lento le abuse.
I feel like the community isn't doing much. I feel like their minds are still filled with patriarchy, where they feel like the man has the right to beat up his wife because they feel like the man is just reprimanding his wife for whatever he's doing. They just sit there and stay back and watch this woman being abused, and gets to a case where the woman even gets killed because of them being ignorant or them believing that it is okay for a man to beat up his wife.
I want to also find out, do you feel that you can trust the policing here, Alexandra, when it comes to tackling and handling issues of gender-based violence?
I don't think we can trust the police when it comes to them handling the matters of gender-based violence, because I, for one, for example, have an experience based on that. I've went to the police station once upon a time to go and open a case. They couldn't assist me. They told me that I'm very young, so they need parents. And by that time, if, for example, the parents are the ones which are involved, how will the parents be able to go to the police station and open the case, because they're the ones who are involved in other cases, for example. So the police can't be trusted, because you go there as a child, they turn you back, tell you come back with the parents.
A girl child is a girl child by a handle. A lot of things happen to us daily. We get mocked, we get sexually harassed. But because of Rekhuletiko Alex, when somebody spanks you, it's normal. It's nothing much to them. And another thing that I've realized is that our parents also play a huge role. They contribute to what is happening to us as girls. It's very hard for me to have a sexual conversation with my mom as a girl child. And then what does she expect me to have the conversation with? I end up going kohole, sick, get friends whom I talk to and they give me bad advices about what I face.
What I've noticed about gender-based violence is that Banna, they're the one who's supposed to protect us, but they're the one who are destroying us. But like I've seen this in my street, Mokidunakoteng, gender-based violence, but the community, even though by a meeting about gender-based violence. So some people think that if I saw gender-based violence, like IPL, there's no such thing of gender-based violence.
Gender-based violence
ka gore nje a ba believe, especially rona re le ko Alex ka gore ba reng mo tate ba bolang kwale ba behave ko pela di parents tsa rona ba batho ba right a setse rona re le one re dlala ko strateng ke gona mo batho mo tshatsa bana batho mo re tshatsa and then rena re sa rati and then ne ke na le chomi and he was a guy na le rape mo tsa mama gae gore na le rape and then mama gae a mo chika a ra a gona gore ga etse gantso a etsa gala e gona gale and then a gonna commit suicide because of mama gae na some tape and then le chomi aka o mongwe na a pizwa ke stepfather go se gore a sa hlola a etsa di swimming lesson because nana di scratch tsa TB and I once saw it I'm sharp ka TB and then na thabela kwa kam khapa ko 8 go social working and le rona ra tshwariwa in a very bad way especially ra harasiwa especially mara feta ko strateng a ra tshwanela para dilo tse dinyane because ke a tshaba go o tlo ntshaba so a ntshebe nka kwa nhlubula mal wa nhlubula ya no and a ke a rate rona ba bang.
As we obviously observe 16 days of activism and we are putting a very special spotlight on gender-based violence, I want to know, does this time, this period actually mean anything?
I think it doesn't because in our township, most of them they don't even know what is 16 days. Abantu abaningi they only care about ugo jive and stuff, and then they take advantage of yogu yama festive to manipulate amantombazane because umasojiva no since it's COVID and stuff everyone is there happy but when a woman gets drunk they take advantage of it and then they don't care which it is 16 days and stuff. If the government can try by all means which it creates an organization as abantu abadala nengane in knowledge about gender-based violence, we can fight against it because now if walk around Alex and be like, what is gender-based violence? Everyone will be like, because they don't know about gender-based violence, you understand?
What these cases do is they have the power to make me feel threatened, not as a female, but also as a child. Because if we're talking about old men now raping children, that is called pedophilia, and that is something that is very problematic within society, and it actually it promotes gender-based violence. So we should talk about the root cause of gender-based violence, that patriarchal societies still exist within society. So society has this picture that, you know what, it's okay for toxic masculinity to be implemented. It's okay for a man to hit his woman. That is how we grew up. But secondly, society also believes that as a child, for me to be reprimanded, it's okay for my mother to hit me. So now, when you go about going to the police station and reporting this, it's just like, no, it's okay. Your mom was reprimanding you. You were wrong. Now, I think if we firstly change that perspective around society, then we might have a way to move forward.
Clearly, there is a lot that young people here in Alex are seeing and observing that is affecting them as well as impacting them. This issue of gender-based violence, there still is a lot that needs to be done, and there are solutions that I believe that young people can bring to the fold. But we continue this very important conversation after the break. We'll be back right after this. You're watching Expressions, your #1 youth current affairs show. We are on location in Rosettenville. We're going to be putting a very special but appropriate spotlight on the issue of gender-based violence. Now, we are observing 16 days of activism, which is an international campaign that challenges violence against women and children. Now, here we're going to be speaking to young people who actually live here to find out what they think about this particular issue. Let's go and speak to them.
Yemadoda sabelani, yemadoda sabelani, yemadoda ngandani.
I know that some of you have personal experiences around how gender-based violence has actually affected you, and I just wanted you to maybe share with us what it is that you've gone through.
What I went through is physical abuse. I was abused, like my brother abused me for like half a year, and I didn't know where to find help. I didn't know what to do. I was hurt emotionally till I ended up like going to a police station. I went there and reported, and they told me that I'm young, I must respect my brother. I was like, what's the use of going to a police station where I'm not going to get help? I stayed and stayed and stayed. Again, he never stopped. He beated me up and I didn't know what to do.
My sister, yourself, I know you also have your own story. Please share it with us.
I was almost raped at a young age, so that traumatized me a lot. I was young, walking down the street, didn't know anything about rape, but almost got raped. Luckily, my grandmother was there to save me. To show that he was old and almost raped me made me feel the pain of not liking older people, because if they show their love to me, I'll think that maybe they want to try and rape me as the other one tried to rape me.
Do you, as a young girl, feel safe?
I don't feel safe. Right now, I stay at home a lot. I don't come out. I only come out when I'm going to play netball. So I don't trust the streets anymore. I don't feel safe at all. I know that he's going to try to do the same thing to the young girls. And I know that I'm sure that there are those that he has once raped. And they're young as I am. So I want him to get arrested, because what he did to me really damaged me mentally. Right now, I can't concentrate at school. When I hear this thing about rape, I feel emotional because I was almost raped.
I was going to church on a Sunday morning, so I was late because I had a transport that would take me from town to where the church is. So now I called this number for the guy to come and pick me up. He came pick me up, and then the guy started driving around, and I was getting scared, and I was looking for my mask. I didn't have a mask with me, it was in my bag, and I was sitting in front, and my bag was at the back because he put a lot of stuff at the back. I couldn't sit at the back. He said, no, just put your bag at the back and then you sit in front. And then this guy took out one of his masks, and he wanted to put it on me, and the mask started to come out like a powder in it. And then he started driving fast, like a lot of things was happening on the way. Like I didn't understand what was happening. I was scared. But at the same time, I was calm to say, okay, what is it to do? What to do at this point? Now I wanted to open the door, but it has a padlock. I tried to open, but I managed. And then when he was somewhere around the bush, just close to town, because I know the area well, I know the place where we were. Then I managed to jump off. I had only my phone with me, my bag and everything was at the back. So I just came out while the car was driving. It is still a trauma. Now I'm scared to even take a left. I'm just scared even to walk. Like when the car is passing by me and it's like it's lurking next to me, I think maybe someone's gonna grab me and put me in. Like I'm still under a trauma.
What is your take? What would you like to say about the experiences that have been sort of tabled here?
To be honest, I feel useless as a man. Like, I feel like I'm not doing my part to protect women. I can't even protect my mother, my own mother, from getting beaten up. My father beating up my mother for like 3 years. He's been beating my mother for months now. My mother would go to work with a blue eye. I tried that so many times. I'm like, what can I do to do this? I had no other situation than to run away from my family.
If you were raised in a house where the mom or the woman in the house always has to come down and kneel down and always has to be seen as someone who's the slave, obviously yourself as the son, you'll see, you know what, I can't respect women. They are lesser and I have more power. So you'll try your best to show, you know what, I have power over her, I can hit her, and I can make her do what I want. If it's that, I can manipulate her with money and everything and emotionally abuse her.
Our system has entrusted women to learn to protect themselves. But if there is no one to be protected from, then you don't need to be protected, you know? So boys should be taught to treat women a certain way. Not that women should dress a certain way so that you don't get raped. But if you teach someone that don't rape, then there will be no one to be raped and everyone will be comfortable in whatever they're wearing, in where they walk and everything like that. So definitely, I feel like our education system is not doing enough. I feel like there should be extra, activities to teach the boys that this is how you treat a woman. That this is the woman who gave birth to you. This is not an object, because that's what our society has accustomed us to become. I feel like also the cultures where we grow up from, we're taught that you need to respect the men, So men feel like they have this power over women, and as a result, they do what they do because it comes from home, as they said.
Gender-based violence is not about statistics or numbers. It is about people, their experiences, and their stories. And the experiences that some of the young people sort of shared with us not only are heart-wrenching, but they actually are asking us and demanding us as a society to do something about it. We can no longer live in silence anymore. We need to speak up and make sure that we eradicate this issue around gender-based violence. We continue with this very important issue after the break.
So as we continue to have these important conversations around gender-based violence, homes and shelters play a critical role in ensuring that some of the victims are actually secure and are safe. Cheryl, thank you so much for your time and expressions today, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Please take us through some of the work that your organization does, and for how long have you guys been operational for?
Organization has been in existence since 1922. It was for a totally different dynamic at the time. It was for young girls who fell pregnant out of wedlock and needed a place to have their kids safe because it was such a big taboo at that point. Obviously, fast forward to now, we are fighting a bigger pandemic than COVID-19. And that is femicide and gender-based violence. So organization caters for young women who find themselves homeless because they're fleeing an intimate partner, victims of rape, and young women who find themselves displaced for a variety of reasons.
So now we're having this conversation, during a time where we observe 16 days of activism against abuse. So why is it important for us to observe this all year round?
We shouldn't have Women's Month. We shouldn't have 16 days of activism because also if you do pay attention, a lot of times, a lot of crimes is perpetrated on women, actually more during these particular times. But if knowledge like this or conversations like this are had all year round, so it's known information 24/7, and not only teaching men to only respect us or not abuse us on specific months or specific days.
So let's speak about the trends. What are the trends? Because the reality is not all women are able to come out and say, I'm being abused. Why do we still have women who are, not in a space to speak about what they're going through at home?
Also, we don't have enough infrastructure. So a lot of times people ask women to speak out. We have a different movements, Me Too, Not in My Name, Total Shutdown. And during those movements or those times, women are encouraged to come out. But when you come out and your perpetrator is the sole provider or, the financial support in the family, and you have nowhere to go because our places are full, we have limited funding from the government. Therefore, some shelters have shut down. So a lot of women end up staying in their I'm going to call it a comfort zone, because it's better than them moving into a shelter. And because some also shelters only offer a limited amount of time for you to get your life in order, basically. They'll give you 3 months or 6 months, and when the 6 months is over, they literally kick you out. So where do you then go after that? You either go back to your perpetrator, you end up in the street. So some of them would really stick to the devil that they know, and unfortunately then they leave in a casket.
What do you think really needs to be done moving forward?
Policies, enforced stricter laws. Our justice systems fail young women, our justice system fail girls, our justice system fail women in general. You look at the recent case of our MEC in Mpumalanga, you allegedly raping 2 of his daughters and then out on, for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So our justice system picks and choose who should go to jail or shouldn't go to jail. Just things like that, where a murderer, will be out on 1,000 rands bail. So a lot of people a lot of women don't want to report their crimes, don't want to report their perpetrators, because you report him today, 2 days later, he's out in the street. What does he do? He will continue to victimize you, not only him, but his friends and his family, so you're not protected at all.
So the reality is, as we're having this conversation, Njengamanje, there is a woman, there is a child in South Africa that's getting violated somehow. So I may speak to me, how do they get a hold of you and your organization if they want to come to a place of safety?
There is help, there is hope, there is help. and anybody that is looking for a place of safety, it's hard to start from the beginning and start looking for shelter. So therefore, there is National Shelter Movement, which is a hub for all shelters that help women who come from abusive situations. So that's your first start. It's www.National Shelter Movement. And you'll be able to get all the shelters that are closest to your area if you want to stay in your area. And obviously from there, we will be able, once you contact us, then we'll be able to assist you.
So we're also seeing corporate South Africa come onto the table. Mundomusha Lapikaya, help is at the tip of your hands right now. Angela Abrams joins us from the Vodacom Foundation to speak to us about an app that was launched by Vodacom. Thank you so much for your time and Expressions today. Angela, speak to us about the app and how it helps victims of GBV.
Okay, so the app is called Bright Sky SA, and it's a static app that helps victims of violence to access information and services. It's free to download. Within a few days, it will also be zero rated, which means that you will be able to navigate the app with no cost to the user, so the data will be free. And it essentially is an app that offers various amounts of functionalities. So the first one is, if you go into it, you can assess whether you are in an abusive relationship. As we know, many women don't always know all the signs. We think that gender-based violence is only physical abuse, but there's so many other forms. And so what the app does, through little case studies and role plays, it shows you that there are so many forms of gender-based violence. So once women have answered the questions, it then takes you to all those functionalities to start describing what gender-based violence is. It also lists services in your surrounding area that you can access if you are a victim of violence. So essentially, it's around awareness raising, it's around education, and it's also around helping the victim navigate services in the area.
A very important key element you're bringing into this conversation around gender-based violence, the importance of accessibility. There's people in our rural areas as well who deal with abuse on the day-to-day. How do they access the app?
So at the moment, the app is only available on a smartphone, but like I said, it's free to download, and it is will be zero rated. But in our next phase, we're also going to make some of the functionalities available on USSD. So which means that people will be able to receive this information via SMS and USSD. But what Vodacom also supports is the Gender-Based Violence Command Center, which is managed by the Department of Social Development, and women can, or victims of violence, can call that number and also speak to a counselor around any issues that they are facing.
So we've come to the end of our episode, and we're hoping as Expressions that not only have we given light to some of the experiences that young people are experiencing on the ground when it comes to gender-based violence, but we're hoping, Kochaye, that you understand that you play a very important role in breaking the silence, in breaking and eradicating this issue around gender-based violence.
Absolutely, we're Jackie, and men and boys of the country, let's be the solution and let's stop abusing abantu besifazane. Let's protect them. Sibonge kakhulu ke for being part of today's show here, Expressions. Sibonge kakhulu for your participation as well. Inkundleni zethu zokuxhumana. From all of us at Expressions, we wish you a great evening going forward. Nisale kahle.
Adios, muchachos. Bye.